Welcome to the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hey everyone, welcome to Bold Book of the Day. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, and this podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today's episode is with Mrs. Ebube Olivia Akueme, and you guys know her because she did another interview with me when she did her debut book, Be Better. And now she is here. You know, she's an international TEDx speaker and, of course, the author of the debut book, Be Better. And she traveled with me to South Africa and Zimbabwe on the Quantum Leap Retreat. Welcome, Olivia.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what gave you the idea to write this beautiful memoir to people to be better. It was just like speaking. It was more like speaking to me about every aspect of my life, how I can be encouraged to just up the level of whatever I'm doing. So what gave you the idea to write this book? And please tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay, so thank you once again, Dr. Denise, for having me here today. I'm Ebube Olivia Akueme, and I am the author of this book called Be Better, which is a book to help you lead from a place of your potential, challenging you to be better in every area of your life, your health, your finances, your spirituality, your career, and of course, your relationships. And that's so key, our relationships. And so I'm here today to represent myself, of course, and the theme of, being better, being better in everything that you do. I'm a speaker. I'm an international TEDx speaker as well. I'm an author, a mother of five, and of course, I run a business in the financial services industry, and I also run a charity called Hope Central. It's an orphanage I run in Africa. So that's me in a nutshell.
Beautiful. What country in Africa are you running this charity?
At the moment, it's in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria. So that's where we are at the moment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming and, sharing with us about who you are, and tell the people, because I traveled with you to South Africa and Zimbabwe for the Quantum Leap Retreat. Please share with everyone, where did you travel from and what was your intention going on this trip?
From the United Kingdom. That's where.
From the United Kingdom?
Leave. It was my very first time getting into South Africa. And of course, before I got there, we had heard all kinds of stories about how South Africa will be like, especially in Johannesburg, which was being. But I like adventures and I like to explore places. Being very, very adventurous by nature, and it was a very beautiful, I would say, an amazing trip to South Africa.
So, thank you so much. How did you decide to go on this Quantum Leap trip? Because, you are in the UK, I'm in the USA. What made you decide that, okay, this Quantum Leap is for me? And you can tell the people it's TEDx, because I know that's a big influence.
Okay. So first of all, South Africa is somewhere I've always wanted to go to one day. I'm going to go there. And South Africa happened to be one of those places. But then when I spoke to you, Dr. Denise, about the trip, three things stood out in my mind. The first one, of course, was the thing about traveling to South Africa, which in itself is very exciting. From the UK, it's about 10 hours. So I'm going to another part of the world. So that in itself was quite exciting. And then there was this whole thing about the quantum, positive-minded individual. Of course, and TEDx stage. That was part of the package as well, to speak on TEDx stage, and then to explore the land, explore South Africa and explored Zimbabwe, doing things or activities like the safari, as well as Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, and just all the other places that was kind of like lined up, on the itinerary for me to go to. So putting all of it together, it really sounded very. This is a trip of a lifetime, and I don't want to miss it. So that was what got me going.
And it was a trip of a lifetime. Oh my goodness. It was so lovely meeting you. And it was such a good family time. It feels like we just became one family. And it was really a rich, rich time. What was the preparation like for you to do the TEDx
Mhm.
talk? Because that was really what you said, a great part of the incentive to go on this trip. How did you prepare for that?
The first preparation had to do with the TEDx talk itself, because speaking on the TEDx talk meant that I had to put a speech together, and it took weeks. He had his own structure, he had his own process, and I had to go through all of that. I had weekly meetings as well, so I think that was one major bit, or I would say part of preparing towards this trip. The other bits, like the other activities we're going to do, the theme, the dinner themes, you have to get the right outfit and all of that. I think for me, that came much later when I
Uh-huh.
was mentally and physically ready to go. That came like towards the last few weeks of, my departing to South Africa. So I wouldn't really say that I prepared heavily on that side, but I just had to make sure that I had the right outfit for all the different occasions. Speaking on TEDx, our white events, our sunset
Sunset
dinner,
dinner.
and so many other things that we did, and just having the right outfit in terms of the right outfit in terms of the temperature, because at that time, when we traveled South Africa before we left, I had a of the experienced snow or something like that. We knew it was cold, but then there was a mix between South Africa and then Zimbabwe, and just making sure that you have the right outfit. There's nothing like wearing something very light or wearing something really heavy when the weather is out and sunny. So I think that was part of the preparation as well. The third leg of my preparation, I would say, would be the individuals I was going to meet. Now, for some of them, I had already met them via Zoom through our weekly meetings, which was very good. So it meant that when I saw them in person physically, all I had to do was just give them a hug. I'd met you before, we had formed a
Yes.
relationship, and we're good to go. So that was, in fact, with some people. In fact, one of them I'm very, very, very close to right now. We both were in the UK. We never met physically in the UK, but we met at the airport. We traveled all the way together, and that is Mrs. Fumio Coenze. And it's just been a very good relationship since then. So yes, I think that I would say that was my preparation really in those sort of three dimensions or three areas.
One of the biggest takeaway that I got was the friendships I formed from that group.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's good to hear
Absolutely.
you
The
say
priceless, the
that,
relationships and the friendships
yeah,
that
the
we formed.
relationships we formed in that trip was just um we were there for a time, but I think it's because of the buildup, and that's what I like about my retreats. We have the meetings before periodically. I think we met frequently, like weekly, when we were doing the training. But I like for us to meet way before consistently, so that you can develop the friendship, or the icebreaker is way before you get there. So when you see the person, all you want to do is give that hug. Say, hey, how are you? We made it here to this thing. What did you gain from that quantum leap retreat?
I gained, Dr. Denise, I gained a lifetime experience. I'm trying to find the right words to describe that gain. It's an experience, and it's
Hmm.
made up of the individuals I met, the people that I met, and also experiencing South Africa and Zimbabwe as countries. and the people in there and the culture and everything. So in one word, it's a lifetime, or maybe in a phrase, if I'm going to put it that way, I would say a lifetime experience that I hold very dearly in my heart. That was South Africa for me.
Yeah.
Never have I experienced anything like that before. I mean, I travel, but this
Yeah.
was different. It was special. It was very, very different in its own category. And I'm guessing, because sometimes you try to look, in hindsight, to say, okay, what exactly was the thing? But I think there wasn't one thing. I think there were things. It was made up of a number of, factors. Like I said, the people experiencing South Africa, its culture, experiencing Zimbabwe. They look like Zulu, know, all of that together, what I call it a lifetime experience.
Beautiful. and it was really a combination of everything. I remember how the highlight for one of the highlights for me was the cultural dinner, when we went to the cultural dinner, like you said, the bomber dinner.
Yeah,
the bomber dinner. You guys look well. I felt like a queen. It was just amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a really nice, I forgot the name of the headpiece that I received from one of the guests, from Fumi, and I just felt so important, like a goddess. Walking in with my headpiece and my African gown, and everyone looked.
I know, yes.
Oh my God, everybody looks so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it's nice to come together.
And what the Boma dance, or the Boma nights, reminded me of, from Nigeria. So we had, our own culture. We had, the masquerades and so many things that would come out, over like, at the Christmas, over the Christmas period. So the Boma dance in Zimbabwe reminded me of those experiences I used to have in my younger days. If that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
But it also came with its own flavor, because this is also, in its own, this is different now. It's different from what I also experienced.
All right. Yeah. So we talked about Zimbabwe, we talked about South Africa. What were some of the things, because I did some exercises while we were there to help with self-development and also to help us move forward from whatever thing is holding us back. What was one of the, what was the excursion, or not excursion, the experience, the exercise? Which one of the exercise did you think was more impactful for you?
Yes. Yeah. So for me, the most was, I can't remember the name now, but that was the one we had on the Friday when, I think just before we departed back to Johannesburg from Zimbabwe. So that the very last seminar, I think that was the very last seminar, because after that, okay, no, we had one more that Friday night.
Yes,
but
yes,
this was when we were still in Zimbabwe. There's so much power in words, and that experience in itself, people of who you are. That was what I did. Because sometimes we forget some, positives about ourselves.
Yeah, we forget who we are sometimes.
And when
that's
people,
a good point,
putting positive words, into your words. I mean, I had when we were now in Johannesburg. That was
the second day
experience that we had, and that was the one where we had to go around and hug one person and say the reason why we were, hugging them. That experience in itself as well for me was because it gave that opportunity as well for people to express their gratitude to one another, and to just be very thankful to the other person and say the reason why you're very thankful to them. So I think for me, those were the highlights in terms of the activities within Quantum Leap that we did. I liked those ones very much.
Thank you so much for, sharing. I remember how impactful, or how your perspective when we did the Black Parade, or when we had an
Okay,
excursion
that's
called the Black
what
Parade, and
it's called.
you brought so much
Okay, yes, I remember.
understanding to, or gave us more clarity about what we learn, what we hear about our culture, how we're not supposed to celebrate one thing, and how we're not supposed to talk about certain things, and how we should be
Mm,
not celebrate in some parts of our culture. And you brought a lot of clarity to that. Like, yes, some things are to be celebrated and to be passed on, but some things you really don't want to pass
yeah.
on. I remember I was very grateful that you were able to explain in good details with the stories why some things are just not, you would not want to pass that on. One being
Yeah.
how, when a king dies, they they capture some people. I don't know how did some people have to die with him. I don't know how they decide, but
Yeah.
some people have to die with
Yeah.
him. So that's one tradition. You're like, okay, we don't want to carry those things on. But there are traditions that you learned when you were growing up that you shared with us that you'd like to carry on. And I thought that was rich. And share with us one of the traditions that you would like to carry on from your generation to you'd like to pass into your children's next generation.
Well, I'll say one has to do with preserving the family itself. For instance, in my culture, Nigeria, you have three major tribes: Igbos, Yorubas, and Hausas as well. And I'm from, the Igbo side or Igbo tribe. Is one culture has to do one thing that I like that we do is there's a big deal around the family, and there's a big deal around preserving the family. So you would notice, for instance, one of the things that he would do, he would strategically make the main compound means the house, where he lives. He passes that on to his child or onto his first son, and then the youngest son would be given like a portion of that compound, that area, and then the middle son would be given another land, but not necessarily in that compound. It will probably be, outside the compound and all of that. And what he's done is that he's trying to keep the family together, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. He's trying to
Hmm.
get the sons or the children to live together in the same area. If he passes on, then he knows that his son one very good culture. That's one very good thing as well for us. I'm not sure if it's inscribed as a culture, but it was just a best practice, if that makes sense, was taking the
Yeah.
kids home every year. Every year, there's certain festivals or ceremonies that happen. Now, like Christian and your Igbo, most times you would find yourself around December traveling back home when we to the
To
village.
Nigeria.
I mean the village.
The village. Yeah.
And what that did for me, it gives you, okay, this is where I come from. This is my inheritance. This is who I truly am. Now, in the UK, there's some Igbo groups that come together and they celebrate that New Yam festival around August of every year. But back home, you would have people that would travel back home again as well for those sort of ceremonies. And all of that creates community. It creates bonding. It creates, togetherness. It creates identification. So okay, this is who I am. This is my culture, and all of that. And of course, when we talk about the Igbo wedding ceremonies, oh my goodness, it is so elaborate, so colorful, so beautiful. One aspect that I love is where you have the father when he gives his blessing to the daughter, and he pours her what we call palm wine. Palm wine is poured into the tusk sometimes of an elephant, and all these things they all have their significance and their meanings. And she takes it, covers it, and she goes round, the audience, and she's looking for her husband. And he finds the right man. She kneels before him. She presents him with that. He drinks it, and she goes with him back to the father and would witness in the culture. And yeah, they're very good practices. But like I said, there were some things that you go like, no, no, no.
We're not taking
I'm never
that.
gonna teach anybody this or pass this on to anybody. It's not good.
Yeah. Beautiful. And the reason why I wanted you to share that is because we dig deep in the quantum leap. We go in and see what are the things that we would like to pass on in our family, and what are the things that are important, because you're not just living to live. You're living because you're taking experiences, and when you're daily life, you're teaching your children or the people around you what to do, what's important in your culture. So if we think about it, if we focus on it and look at why is it that some things are practiced daily, and why is it that some things we have pushed it aside, not just because we've learned that it's we don't do that, but really have your own research to back up why we do things, why we should take something into the next generation, and why some things we should definitely leave behind. We are creating another generation, and we want our culture to be passed on, but there are things that we have to reevaluate and see, has that helped, or has it pushed us back? How is it moving us forward in life? Yeah. So thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that. I
Absolutely.
appreciate
I
it.
think that's the thing about culture, and that's the thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. You're welcome. That's the thing about culture, and I think that the Igbo culture or any African culture, I think that when we look at the world itself, even here in the United Kingdom, there's certain things that they were doing like years ago, they don't do now. For instance, let's talk about, like women and how they treated women in certain centuries here in the UK. It was part of the culture. But now, through education and through, certain levels of justice and certain other things that have happened over the centuries and over the years, things are done differently here in the UK. So I think that there's some things that promote humanity generally, whether it's for the women or for the men or for the children, and there are things that don't promote humanity. And as long as it's a cultural practice that doesn't promote humanity, it is time to review and to drop it. But if it's something that, of course, will aid and help and promote that culture, why not? Let's keep practicing and teaching the next generation, how to do it. But sometimes as well, the next generation would always take a good practice and make it even better, depending on how their own perspective is or how they see things as well. So it's always up for changes, if that makes a lot of sense. But the sort of like intrinsic value of any culture for me should be very positive and should be self-promoting in terms of you as a human being. It shouldn't be anything that degrades you as a
Yes. Well said. Bottom line, does it make the generation, look good and move forward and feel good? And it's not foo-foo feel good or, sugary feel good.
Exactly.
It's really how to make people love their culture and pass it on. It's so important. So we do a lot of things. We do self-development, but we also go back and see how have the things that we've learned inhibited us from our best self. How has the things that we've experienced stopped us from being the best person we can be? As a matter of fact, how has the things that we've experienced helped us to, or prohibits us from being better, as your book says? And I'm still reading my book. I
Oh yeah.
haven't finished
Oh
it
yeah.
yet. Oh my goodness, guys, you have to get your copy. Be Better. It's available on Amazon, and there's so many great stories are in here that can help you just change your life and help you uh, experience success in different areas, because you're learning
Mm.
how to create habits that is going to encourage you and help you to be the better person that you desire. Tell us some more about your book. Thank you so much for traveling us with us to the Quantum Leap retreat.
Mm.
But tell us about your book, Be Better.
Yes, Be Better for me is inspirational in the sense of I would always like people to put their best foot forward. And when they're not, then to ask questions as to why and then see where I can help them to move forward. And it's moving forward, like I said, in any of the five areas of life, whether it's in their health, their relationships, their spirituality career, or in their finances. So the book itself is a better individual version of yourself.
So let's wrap this conversation up. You've done such a beautiful job conveying how important it is to explore culture, not just our own, but different cultures, and pass on information that can help our generation be better, just like her book says, Be Better. Your book, I know we didn't get to finish talk about it, but there's some financial advice in here that I appreciated. You talked about different ways to manage finance, and I really, really appreciated that. So, guys, pick up the book, Be Better, and really go through it. Don't rush through it. Take your time through it, because when you take your time through it, you get to implement the things that she is imploring to us to be better. I want you to expand a little bit about the financial advice that you gave us, because people wouldn't expect that you're talking about so many different areas, including finance, which is your specialty. So, you know,
Mm,
um, yeah, there's so many different areas in this book to help you be
yes,
better.
yes. When it comes to finance, I think for me, it's very straightforward. I like things that are very simple. There's no financial education. I mean, if you take a typical child, I know you go through school and nobody teaches you about money, how to make money, how to keep money, and all of that. You don't get that kind of education. They teach you about dissecting a frog and things that don't make sense. But the reality is,
Yeah.
when we leave school, we all need to use money and we all need to be educated on how to use money. How does money work? I think the basic kind of education that we get through life is only how to spending money. But then, if you were built to build a house, you're going to start with the foundation. And then you have like the first floor, the ground floor, the first floor, the second floor, and so on until you put on the roof. And so when it comes to finances, the foundation of every strong financial house has to do with risk management protection. Where you protect yourself, your life protection, illness, serious illness, critical illness, protecting your car, buildings and content, that's home insurance and anything to do with protection. It's all about, it falls on that ground floor, then has to do with debt management. So this is where you begin to talk about strategies and plans to pay off your debt, because a lot of people, fall into debt over years. It's not something that is done overnight.
Yeah.
They go into debt over years. So you also need a plan and a strategy, and it takes time. Then the third level, or what I would call probably your first floor, has to do with your expense management. Now, this is where you begin to make certain choices between what you need and what you prefer. So there's preference and there's need. Let me give you a very clear example. Let's say I like coffee. So you might say, okay, my preference is that I like to buy my coffee from Starbucks or Costa Coffee or any coffee shop every single day. The need there is, yes, you want coffee, you want a hot drink. Can you not make that in your kitchen? Can you not just go buy a very good quality branded coffee and make that? So you begin to see where, my needs and my preferences are different. They're not the same thing. You need to eat, but must you have takeaways every day? That's another thing. You need to drive a
Mm.
car. You drive this kind of car. So you begin to weigh your needs and your preference. Now let's move on to the second floor.
Mm.
The second floor, so that's the third level. The fourth level now is the second floor. The second floor now has to do with your asset management. And when you look at asset management, the two categories or separate rooms. Like you walk into the floor, the first room is your to break down. Have you got like savings, like a buffer that will help you and stop you from going into credit or credit cards and all of that or borrowings?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side is your long term, like your retirement plan. That's the second side. And then finally we talk about the floor, which has to do with your income management. And we know that majority of families here in the UK, and I know in the US as well, that people need a secondary form of income. So it doesn't matter what your day job is, your 9 to 5, or even if you were running a business, you need to have multiple streams of
Of
income
income,
coming
yes.
in to buffer, help you to reach your goals and your dreams faster than you currently are doing. So that's like when you build a house. So if you can understand it like that, the foundation and then the ground floor, first, second, third, and then the roof, that paints a very good picture as to go through those steps like that. That's how you build your financial house. So that has to do with my book, Be Better, some of the things that I cover in there. Not all of them, but some of them, when it comes to your finances and getting better with your finances.
I see you come alive when you're talking about this. This is your forte.
It is this and relationships, actually. Finances and relationships. I'm very passionate about.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Man, thank you so much for coming and sharing and telling us about your experience at Quantum Leap and telling us about your book, Be Better. Please tell us, where can the audience stay in touch with you?
My social media platform, so you can catch me on Instagram at Ebubski, just at Ebubski, Ebubski. On Facebook, that's my name. If you type in Ebube Olivia Akueme, it brings you to my page or my personal profile on Facebook. I'm also on TikTok as well. Ebube Speaks. I'm on TikTok and YouTube. And you can always go to my website, which is www.ebubeoliviaakueme.com.
Thank you so much. The opportunity to share your book and your message is so important because this book is well researched and well developed, and it's going to make a difference in your life for the better, for you to be better. So before you go, there are 3 questions that I love to ask all of my guests. And number 1 is, what is one bold promise that you can share with the world that you know will help them live a better life?
Okay. So the bold promise I make to the world is to constantly put out materials there to help people move forward and be better in any one area of their lives, whether it's in their health, relationships, their spirituality, career, or in their finances. I definitely will be doing that. I'm doing that now. I'll just
Putting
do
out
more.
stuff in the world to serve more people. Yeah, that will help you be a better person if you're serving more people. You are so correct. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And number 2, what is a bold statement you can share with your audience that will help cause a paradigm shift?
There's one thing that I find that is even more profound, and that I feel will be the thing that will cause the paradigm shift. It's about the mind and your mindset. You can never be better if you don't work on your mind. It all starts from your inner game. So for me, if I focus on the inner game and help people as well, it's kind of like when plant something in the soil. The mind is like the soil. It's like the earth,
Yes.
and we have to prepare it. We have to, do everything we need to do to the soil to put the right teachings and words and all of that in there so that people can blossom. So it all starts with the mind, and where we get the help or the seeds or whatever from is the right kind of education, the right kind of association, and the right kind of material that people can begin to use in their minds to
Yeah.
help them to blossom and become better. It starts with the
Yeah.
mind.
Starts with the mind. Yes, that will, if you practice self development and looking into how you can, change your habits, then implementing those things regularly, like, dieting or reading or exercising on a regular schedule, then you will definitely have a paradigm shift. You are so right. Thank you for that. And before you go, I would like to know what bold move you're about to make for the future.
Is to move to another continent. I said it the last time and I'm saying it again. Is to move to another continent, to live in another continent. I've been in Europe
Wow.
for how many years now? So I think that would be a bold kind of move.
What does your husband think about that?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
If
But
he's ready to move to another continent, unless you're going back to, your country,
for
I don't
me, that would be
know.
my own.
The husbands are going to be like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I know.
It's beautiful to have you today. I appreciate you. Anyone out there that would like to write a book and publish it, please send me an email at authordnicholson@gmail.com. It's important for you to stand on your story. Get your message out there. It doesn't matter what you've been through. Your story can help someone else. The lessons that you've learned from your life can help someone else find hope or inspire them to be better, just like Olivia has written about. So if you or anyone you know would like to write a book, send me an email, authordnicholson@gmail.com. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you've learned something. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.